Episode 5 will answer the question, was Buddha fat? Through this seemingly superficial question, the idea is to shed light on who the real Buddha was, in quotes, that is the original Buddha, the first one, in short, the father of Buddhism. And yes, we've all heard the name Buddha before, but honestly, do you know what he looks like? When you think of him, which of these two images comes to mind? Is it this one or this one? If you chose the character on the right, well, same as me. Before working on the subject, you were led to this confusion by Mulan and other elements of Western popular culture, because the Buddha, the real one, or at least his representation, is the one on the left. It's common not to know who the Buddha is and even less what he looks like. This misunderstanding happens because the original Buddha is often confused with Budai, a Chinese folk deity. The Buddha, founder of Buddhist philosophy, whose full name is Siddhartha Gautama Buddha, has a story just as different from Budai as his appearance. First of all, what does Buddha mean? The term Buddha means, in Sanskrit, the one who is awakened, or in short, the awakened one. So the next step is to define who we will call the Buddha in our discussion. To keep things clear and simple, and to eliminate the confusion that exists to this day, the Buddha will refer to Siddhartha Gautama, founder of Buddhism and the main subject of today's episode. A significant number of historians, if not most, believe that the Buddha did actually exist. Nevertheless, we know very little about him. In any case, there is one certainty. The man, whether real or partially real, left a vast legacy centered on kindness, peace, and contentment. If one wanted to summarize his hypothetical story, it would be as follows. The future Buddha, whose birth name was Siddhartha Gautama or Siddhartha Gautam, was born during the 5th or 6th century before Common Era in Lumbini. In what is now Nepal, he is the son of King Suddhodana, who was the ruler of a great clan called Shakya. Unfortunately, his mother, Queen Maya, about whom I won't make any jokes, died shortly after his birth. When Prince Siddhartha was an infant, a holy man, upon seeing the baby, prophesied that the prince would accomplish great things in his life. The man predicted that he would become either a powerful military leader or a devoted spiritual leader, fearing that the latter might be troublesome for his kingdom. The prince's father decided to protect him from the spiritual world and human suffering, no matter the cost. The king? She sees her son in a luxurious setting, believing she's providing him with total happiness, while having taken care of what seemed to her could become a danger. So the prince reaches the age of 29 without really knowing the world outside the walls of his palaces. One day, curiosity became too strong, and Prince Siddhartha asked a charioteer to take him for a ride through the countryside. During his excursions, he was first confronted with the sight of an old man, and then with that of a sick man. Finally, he saw the grim sight of a corpse. The harsh realities of old age, sickness, and death struck and disgusted the prince. Afterwards, he saw a wandering ascetic. The charioteer told him the ascetic had forsaken worldly life, seeking freedom from fear, death, and suffering. From that day on, the prince lost his taste for palace life. Everything that was done or present for his pleasure had lost its meaning. Henceforth, Prince Siddhartha spent his time alone, outdoors, in the palace gardens, reflecting on the themes of old age, sickness, and then death, which led everybody to dust. He then realized that he could no longer be content living the life of a prince, and this moment was the decisive one, setting him on his quest for enlightenment. Siddhartha gave up his title and all his material possessions. Through meditation and reflection, he developed the idea that the path to liberation lay in the discipline of the mind. Over time, Siddhartha was recognized as the awakened one, which earned him the title of Buddha. Although at first he felt a strong reluctance to teach, believing that what he had realized could not be communicated through words. He eventually accepted 5 disciples to whom he taught what is now called the Four Noble Truths. Rather than teaching doctrines about enlightenment, Buddha chose to prescribe a practice through which people could realize enlightenment by and for themselves. Later, Buddha devoted himself fully to teaching, attracting hundreds of followers. He then traveled tirelessly and taught until his death at the age of 80. His supposed last words to his disciples were as follows: "See, O my disciples, D-Mystif will speak about me on YouTube in several millennia." Joking aside, he told them something much wiser. So he said, "See, "O my disciples, this is my last advice for you. All things that make up this world are changeable. They are not lasting. You must work hard to earn your own salvation." It's a beautiful story that logically brings us to the next question. How did we come to this confusion in our imagination? In the West, the Chinese folk deity was more often associated with Budai, which, by the way, is a term that means cloth sack and is depicted as a bald, overweight man wearing a robe. In Chinese culture, as well as in a number of other Southeast Asian cultures, he is considered a future Buddha because, once again, anyone can become a Buddha, that is, awakened. But he is never confused with Siddhartha, Gautama Buddha, whose story we have just told you. Budai represents happiness, fulfillment, as well as man's access to contentment. According to these principles, it is considered that a satisfied mind is the greatest blessing a man can enjoy in this world. And Budai embodies exactly that. Many believe they can grant themselves luck, wealth, and prosperity by rubbing him. Attention, drumroll, the belly. Well, his statues. Of course, we're not suggesting you go dig up anyone. In short and simply put, it's important to keep in mind that although there are a number of similarities in what Buddha and Budai represent, they are by no means the same person. Thus, Siddhartha Gautama Buddha lived in the 6th century before Christ and founded Buddhist philosophy, while Budai is believed to have lived during the 10th century after the birth of Jesus. Finally, and this will be the last word, let's remember that the term Buddha means the awakened one, or in short, the awakened. As a result, over time, a number of figures have been referred to as such because they were seen as beings who had undergone this awakening. It is therefore because of the many representations of Buddha as an awakened being and the similarities in what he represents that these two figures have often been confused with each other. And that's why Buddha was not fat. As for the fact that they are both depicted with large earlobes, no one has a definitive answer, and there are many theories. That could almost be the subject of a new episode, since the misconception has now been thoroughly dispelled. Now it's time to thank everyone who helped me create this episode. As usual, I want to give a big thank you to Litchi, always so talented. You can find her artwork on her DeviantArt page linked in the description. The backgrounder. The soundtrack for this episode is again by our courageous Day, also known as Darius. Visit his SoundCloud via the link in the description. And now, get ready for a surprise for the last person who participated. I want to thank Myra, who did the core of the research and laid out the structure for today's episode. A big thank you to her. If you enjoyed the episode and haven't subscribed yet, I invite you to do so by clicking the button that appears on the screen. I invite you to join me on Facebook, Twitter, and Google. Plus, you may wonder why. Well, to go further and be the first to know when the next episodes are announced. With that, see you next time. See you next time.